cycling, cultivating confidence, and the joys in life and music with Matthias Rácz. Stay inspired. Matthias, I wanted just to start out with chatting a bit about your cycling and your biking.
So actually, right now, there is not so much to say about it. I mean, at least we have winter now, it's very cold. But yeah, I mean, mountain biking, the hobby mountain biking, at least with that, I found my wife. And she's from Venezuela, and she was like a semi-professional mountain biker. She was doing like really like 2-3 day races there, and she was quite successful, but semi-professional. So when she came into to Switzerland, we had a friend together, and I was the only man who could show her like the Swiss Alps, right? So in that time I was quite active with my mountain bike. So in the weekend I was always going somewhere to have my little adventures. So and maybe this is the most important story about mountain bike in my life, because I showed her the mountains, and then we fell in love, and we have two beautiful children. So this brought us together. Yeah, but I'm still regularly. Maybe right now less mountain bike, more like race. How you say race bike? This is more right now for me interesting, because it has a little more this condition aspect. To of course, also to stay in shape. There's a big change between 20 and then 30, and then now I'm 41. So it's part of doing something to stay in condition. Exactly, to still, especially on stage with all this like night concentration when you have concerts, it's sometimes quite hard, right? Teaching all day or having two rehearsals in the evening concert, and where everybody gets tired, you have to be in the best shape of the day. So, but to do some sports helps, of course.
The Muri Competition in Switzerland, could you share a bit about how and why it came about?
Yeah, so I mean this happens. I think this happened like in 2011 or 12, when Renato Bizzotto, maybe a few of you know them. He was an oboe player. He was located in Asia, but he's Swiss. He worked in Asia for a while, I think in Singapore, and then he came back to Switzerland, and he is very active. He has his company, oboes.ch, and he's selling like a cane and stuff, and he's doing many things. And he's a good friend of mine, and I was teaching his son the bassoon. And we just together we thought about to create something which is a little bit bigger, and which has a little more impact also. As always, teachers think in the quality of the instrument and to improve the skills and everything. So finally, we had the idea to create a competition. It's a competition for oboe and bassoon, and I am responsible just for the bassoon parts, and only for the music part. So I am creating the repertoire for the competition always. I am putting the panel, the judge together, and but the main organization behind, which is a lot of work, we have like a professional team doing that. Yeah, and I think the biggest the how to say the biggest thing what we could have is a good sponsoring behind the competition, because it costs a lot of money. And in Muri, as you know, we have like really high prices. The first, second, third prize, we have like really high prices valued in Swiss francs. And we are very lucky to have really nice sponsoring, and also safe sponsoring also for the next 20 years. He already told us that he is going to support the competition. And this is difficult in these times, I think, where culture in general, is difficult, to find the money to do something. And it's a lot of fun to organize these competitions. It's really a hard challenge sometimes to be innovative every time it takes place, because you cannot ask always the same pieces in the same rounds, and then you have to make it interesting. And it's not easy also for the judge to find the right people who can work nicely together, and also to not wait always the same people, to have like a good exchange in between. Yeah, it's a nice challenge, but I mean, it's already very successful competition. So the next time it will take place in 2023 in Muri again. Yeah, and which is actually also interesting that whenever we have no competition in these years between, we make these Muri master classes, which are located in the same place in Switzerland, where usually we have like 3 bassoon teachers and 3 oboe teachers coming together. And then we have like a group of, let's say, 50 to 60 oboe and bassoon students. Last time was this summer in 2021. And this is always really, really nice time to also, yeah. We have every time we have a new composition in the competition, yeah. There's a new piece always composed for the competition. The last time was really, really, really interesting because we could, how you say, we could ask Daniel Schnieder to write a new piece, because in the commission we believe that if we find good music, it's going to be played afterwards, and actually this is the goal what we are looking for, because it happens too often. And myself, I played so many pieces for some competitions and they are not played anymore, because yeah, I mean, it has to make sense for everybody, for the player and for the audience, right? And in these times, sometimes with these new pieces, sometimes it's hard also then to program it in a recital wherever I go and people are listening first time to bassoon. So I need music which really works also for the audience, in my opinion at least. And then we made an experiment actually the last time, which was really interesting, because Daniel Schnieder, he composed a duo for oboe and bassoon, because it's a competition for bassoon and oboe, right? And we thought, okay, in the semi-final we have like 6 oboes and 6 bassoon players, so we could play them together, and they were able to make like a rehearsal or 2. Yeah, we let this open, and then we had like a semi-final voted round playing a duo, right? And this was really, really interesting, because then you can really see how they react to each other without knowing each other. And this is very often it's a realistic situation we are in as a musician, right? And this was really nice. This was like a really good experiment, and it worked out really nice. Yeah. So for next time, we don't know yet what we're gonna do. Yeah, but for sure it's gonna be something again, something brave and something new to try.
With all of our shared experience through the pandemic, and for most of us, our as musicians, our work paused and stopped or evolved to being online. It'd be lovely to hear how your work evolved.
Yeah, I mean we are quite. I mean, we had a difficult time. I think like all over the world was like a difficult time, but I must say that Switzerland was maybe still the best part of the world, in my opinion, to be, because restrictions were not too crazy and too hard. So my orchestra was maybe, let's say, in lockdown, let's say about 3-4 months. And it was, in the first moment for me was not too difficult, because it was like a, how you say, like a forced break or something.
Yes.
And before I was in this kind of, like workaholic stuff and like traveling always, and it was something very healthy for me, and to have a little more time for me, for my family, also to think about the future, what you want to do, what is important in your life, stuff like that. I mean, but I was still playing a lot. I have my colleagues here, my friends, so we met actually still. And this was also the period where this duo from Daniel Schnieder with bassoon and contrabassoon with my colleague Hans Agreda. This was also the time where we just met and we played this and we practiced it, and then the idea came up just to record it, because everybody was at home and needs good music. And so I was still quite active to do my things, right? in the second lockdown for me was a little more difficult to motivate myself, because then I also was like falling a little bit into a little crisis of, I mean, there was a period maybe I didn't play 3-4 months, which is really for me never happened in my life.
Wow. Yes.
It was so good and it was so healthy. And when I came back to play, actually everything just worked so much better. This is what sometimes we're afraid to step back, you know, and to make really a clean break sometimes. Because we always scared how it's going to be feel afterwards, you know, everything and the reeds and does my finger still work and everything. But most of the time it's very how you say, productive or
Healing,
positive.
yeah.
So there's also a very nice project coming up, because whenever musicians, they have nothing to do, they, you know, the creativity is still going. So somehow you have to how to say, to manifest your ideas. I think in spring 2022 there will be something really new and something very special coming out. The first Bassoon app, where you will find like really crazy informations from, like, I mean, from teachers like, let's say, from Gustavo Nunez and Carlo Colombo, Matthew Wilkie. So a friend of me, Malte Refat, and me, we founded, how you say, a new thing where selected teachers are recording very short tutorial videos, but in a very structured way, to help bassoon players all over the world whenever they take the bassoon and they don't know how to warm up, how to make my basic exercises, how to improve my skills. It's not so much about, you know, our interpretation. No, it's not this kind of, we don't want to put lessons online. We just want to give these short videos to help people what to do to get like efficiently, like an improvement in, like, let's say, technical skills. You can compare this maybe to these fitness apps or sport apps, or let's say yoga app. And this was also the example. So we are now working very hard on it. So hopefully in spring it will come out, and it's going to be really exciting for everybody, I think. Yeah, even for me, I will use it myself, because you have like so great informations from so great teachers all in one place, and very efficient. You can see a video, you can take your bassoon, you can practice it, and it's going to be great. It's coming out soon. This is what actually we all, maybe somehow we realized in the pandemic. So the need of people is very high. And of course, maybe I mean, I'm teaching here in Zurich, but let's say I have 12 students or 10 students. I mean, there are so many bassoon players all over the world, which maybe because of financial problems or because of their destinies, or they, you know, life changes, they are never able to get a lesson from, let's say, Matthew Wilkie or from Stefano Canuti. And the need is very big. How you say, very. It's there, and but I still, you can get inspired by exercises which are helping you really in a very specific, direct way. So not this kind of bassoon blah blah about Mozart, you know, because of course everybody has to say something, but it has to be very practical. So an exercise, do it this way. I do it myself because I do this so many minutes. I do this in these variations and do this every day. And then afterwards, my tonguing is better. My fingers move, like, you know, this kind of practical things. Like what you have always in meditation also. I mean, meditation is like practical exercise. Yeah, I mean, you can read a book, you can read so many about it, you can learn, you can know so much, but at least at the end you have to sit down and stay in silence an hour, and then you will make your experience by doing it, right? And with the bassoon, of course, it's a little bit the same thing. So you need this kind of practical help. So many people, they have no plan how to do it, how long to do it. I mean, the best example, of course, is like a fitness center, like gym, if you go to the gym. I mean, right? So many people, they go for years to the gym and they have no results. And most of them, as I did all my life with my flowers here, most of the time, they are training too much. and because of that they have also no results, right? So this is also how to be efficient, how to take out the maximum of the benefit you can take. With my flowers, for example, my flowers always, I gave too much water. And I was always wondering why they are all dying, because I wanted to give too much, right? But this is very typical also, I think, for in general instrument, like in all the how to say, with, not just with bassoon, it's with so many things is like that. So you need a plan, you need a good plan, right? And you might have a good plan, maybe because you are very talented, or you have a good teacher, or you have good advice of a friend, okay? But the most people, they have not a good plan, right? So this is somewhere with a good training, your body will, I mean, it will develop. You get better just because of the plan. Yeah, of course, somebody still gets faster, better, and somebody slower. Of course, we are all different. But the first thing you need is a plan.
On the topic of practice, have you found your practice evolve balancing work and life?
I mean, of course, what I realized in the process of getting like real professional, because when you study, you learn so many things, and then when you enter orchestra, you realize that I need like different things.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's always a process. Why I say the things you really need in the orchestra, you almost can't learn in your study. I mean, you get in shape. You try to have no limits, technique-wise or sound-wise or condition-wise. Of course, you can learn many things, but then the reality in your orchestra is very different. And what is also very different in your orchestra, you have no time to practice anymore as a student, because you can't make 6 hours rehearsals and then make 3 hours practice. I mean, how many weeks you can survive? I mean, after a while, you have the instrument just somewhere and you want to stop playing, right? So what you have to learn in the orchestra to be very efficient in your practice. So, and this is, I think, what everybody who enters the orchestra is realizing, realizes that I really need to practice what I need to practice. I mean, where I'm in trouble, where I have problems. And I have to trust these skills I'm good at. So many times it makes just so much more fun to practice what I'm good in, because I have a good feeling. But you waste your time because you are already good in that. So, but this is something which usually starts in the orchestra, that you just get so much more efficient in the way to practice. Yeah. And but still, my tactic in my study still was that I was practicing a lot, and a lot of quantity, because there are a lot of discussions and there are a lot of ideas between quantity and quality. And many people, they just say they put the quality so much higher than the quantity. But I don't believe that is true. So I think we need a lot of quantity, at least 2, 3, 4 years in your life when you're young, when you're studying, to make this in-stride really get part of your body. And this not happens when you practice 2, 3 hours a day. So I had these 3, 4 years where I practiced like I was just practicing. There was nothing more. I was not this type of crazy student who wants to go to, meet friends and then go out and go eat and enjoy and cinema and party. I was not like that. I put this all after I got a job. I did this all just a few years later when I was like safe. And then I was still doing my parties all night, and in the morning, no sleep to the orchestra. I did this all, but just not before I succeeded in something. And why I'm telling this is that, of course, a lot of quantity, a lot of focus for a few years of practice is necessary, but just so much quantity that still the practice can have a high quality. This is just something what we have to understand. Because sometimes people say, yes, you need the high quality, so you can practice very short and you have to play it one time really good with high attention, and then it's the same. It's not. It's getting the same if you can repeat something with high quality in the high quantity. So 10, 20, 30 times. And then you can program it really deep into your body. Because at the end, what I'm using on stage is reflexes, basically reflexes. Yeah, I mean, in your practice, you can have your plan, music music, then also a bit of stomach feeling, a bit of, you know, intuition and stuff like that. But in the concert moments, you need these reflexes. Yeah, and this you cannot do only by quantity and then make your practice short. This is what I mean. Yeah, so a lot of quantity with the highest quality, right? And this is also something what you just learn somehow in the orchestra, why my practice changed a lot. So when I have a bad read, usually I don't practice because it makes no sense for me. I'm just getting frustrated. I want to avoid get frustrated in my practice. After my practice, I have to feel how good I am. So I have to practice at least maybe in a good room with a good read and in a good day where I'm in condition, right? Not tired and then practicing. And then whenever you have the instruments used, I mean, whenever you play as you have a concert right now. So when you practice, you have always to imagine that there are sitting people. Or maybe your teacher is sitting because he will also, afterwards, he will tell you if you made a good practice or a bad practice. Not this kind of stupid repeating things and, you know, your mind is somewhere and then you have like 2 hours, you have to, you know, you have to finish 2 hours and then it's done, right? So one example is whenever I'm sitting in the orchestra, I am not just sitting there and wasting my time. Even if nobody can hear me, I am breathing as a soloist. I am trying to play every note as perfect and I'm trying to play as clean as possible. I'm trying to take these long breaths, not to breathe whenever I can breathe. In the orchestra, you can breathe everywhere, but still I can train my you know my lungs. Still, I make my practice. So when I have to sit there 6 hours because we have to play something, I can use the time. So I have practiced already everything I would practice in my basics. If I have a concert, then I might have to practice some more places in this music I have to play. But I don't have to make this kind of, you know, like daily routine practice. I don't have to do anymore. And this has to do something, yeah, with mindset. I mean, as more you experience, as more you know, as more you make your practice even more efficient. And this is, of course, what you said. It's changing. Yes, it's changing.
Could you share on how you build confidence or any thoughts on confidence on stage or just in life?
It's quite complex, but because you can also have some issues because of your childhood or something. So confidence is a very wide field. It's hard to say in general about it.
Mm-hmm.
But confidence, in my opinion, you have to build on stability. You need just a fundament in your playing, which just which just shows you every day that it works. You know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
what I see somehow is that right now the world is a little bit changing in the way of you don't have to it's enough to talk about what you can, and it's not so much necessary anymore to show what you can, because if you show something you have not to talk about it. And there are also these teachers out there. I think they are just pumping the egos of the players, because if I am on stage like this and I show, you know, and it looks strong, then yes, some people in the audience, they will misunderstand, that they will feel that this is good, but not the experts. They will still be able to know what is really good and what is not good. The problem is just that many not or medium good people, they are right now very successful because of good publicity, right? I mean, in the music business is the same thing happening. So the quality steps back, and there's a lot of, you know, social media stuff you have to do. And if you're very smart in other things, you can create a very good career. But it not means there's something behind. Yeah. So confidence you should always build on quality. Yeah. So, and this is this kind of daily hard work in a good way. You just have to do, and the confidence will come. Yeah. because you will feel it, that it just works and it's getting more stable, and you will trust more in your, you know, in your talents, and then confidence is not this big mysterium. Sometimes it looks like somehow. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, it not means everybody is always confident. I mean, I mean, I played so many concerts, and I have these concerts where I feel like 100% just no doubts and just fun and playing, and everything has just this kind of flow. And I still have these concerts where I'm on stage and I have so many bad thoughts and negative and doubts inside myself that of course maybe outside you don't see it, but it's still there. So we all have these two sides, you know, inside. But when you can trust your abilities because you just made a good fundamental practice, then still the result will still be like on a good level, right? So yeah, I think the real quality you practice is a base of your confidence. Yeah.
Any courses, Matthias, at the Zurich University, or just any classes? And we talked about the app, so maybe even in like IT, kind of anything that you wish were offered or was offered to you or offered to your students.
This is, for example, part of, I think in lesson, I will always try whatever I can teach by not trying to solve problems in the moment you play the instrument. I mean, whatever you can outsource of the practice time is good for you, because you have more time for other practice time. I mean, a good example is if people are really in trouble with a single tongue. Yeah, you don't find people having a bad single tongue on the bassoon, and then they have a good single tongue without the bassoon, and they can do that. It's just not exists usually, right? So there are so many things we can practice without the bassoon mentally, because the connections to the body is the same, how to say, is the same nerve, is the same line, right? So I mean, for example, double tongue. Whenever I start double tongue with students, I started first without the bassoon, and they have to do it for several weeks, just practicing, yeah, kata kata kata, or taka taka taka, or daga daga, and then taka taka, all these variations. Not like overloading the system already with a final result. I don't need it now. I can give time to my body to slowly adapt, right? And this has to do with many things. I mean, not just like tools like vibrato or like tension in my body, where I want to be supported by my support and my lungs, right? And then like to tense my support and relax my shoulder muscles. I mean, so many people have the problem that all the muscles in the upper body are just so much connected, and they just react all together, but never like independently, right? And these things I always try to practice outside the bassoon lesson, or no, outside my practice. This is what I try to teach them. But it has also to do with, I mean, to be mentally strong, right? How to move on stage. I mean, dancing, acting, how to speak on stage. There are these courses also, how do I speak clear, as the politicians all do. I mean, the politicians, they have so many things to learn, how to look, how to move, how to speak, how to move the hands, and how to be in discussion, how to look good. I mean, so many things they need to know. And for us, it's a little bit the same. When I'm able to talk in a very clear way, yeah, I will understand that somehow in the music, or let's say I will discover the places where my music is not speaking in a clear way, right? And this is where sometimes we have these typical players like languages, while like the Spanish, they speak very fast and not very articulated. Many times you hear it in the music. The Chinese people, they speak so hard, so many consonants, and then you hear it in the music. But when you make the progress, for example, the process, for example, to learn new language, to be like, for example, now in Switzerland, to learn German, to learn how to articulate, what is an open R in the language, how I can use it in the bassoon. I mean, all these things, everything I learn is for my profession somehow. Yeah. And if this is a meditation, I use it in a concert when I'm nervous. If this is yoga because I'm stressed, I use it before I go on stage. Why not? I mean, there are so many things to learn, right? And and these people who understand, and then you can kind of learn 24 hours, and everything is for your profession. You know what I mean? But mainly I see the opposite. Yeah, when I practice bassoon, these 2 hours, I am in my
Focus on that bassoon work.
Yeah, and then 22 hours, I have no any more thoughts about something. Yeah, I'm totally out. But this is not how it works. So at least in the morning, when you are a young student and you want to improve fast, of course, the first thing in the morning you do is listen to good classic music. The last thing in the evening you have to do is to fall asleep with good music in your ears, because your underconsciousness is active, right? So you don't realize, but you will take the music, and without knowing, after a few weeks, you will maybe feel different or play different or have different ideas, right? So there's so many things, and of course being in condition. I mean, of course, do some sport. I mean, as a bassoon player, at least you need your body. You need, it has to feel light, everything. Yeah. So I think this is what, like, these successful people, or let's not say successful, the really good players who have really high, who reached really highest level of something, they are just so smart that they use everything for this goal they want to achieve. Yeah.
With your CD, Matthias, and just the process of working in the orchestra and in doing like a live performance, and also possibly doing a recording with an orchestra, and from your perspective as the soloist, even like producing a CD and distributing it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, recordings are always really challenges, because I mean, I spoke to many friends who also have recorded many CDs, and there's almost no one who can listen to his own CDs. I don't know anybody. Everybody I speak to tells me that, oh, this recording are terrible. I cannot hear it. It was so terrible, and I feel shame because because finally you have to bring it out because you have signed the contract, and you cannot say at the end, no, I cannot do this. So finally you have to go with it. But no one is really happy with the result, and this is something which makes just recording so difficult, because you have to fix something. It's just a moment of your life, and it shows nothing of your personality, and it finally shows nothing of your music personality. It's just a moment, and it can be a good moment and it can be a bad moment, right? And this is why most of the time, for me, for example, if I listen to my CDs, I don't do it, but even in the moment of bringing it out, which is like a few months after recording, you already don't want to do this because you are so unhappy with the result. This is something, but which is like a bit unnatural in this recording idea, that you have to fix something you don't want to fix. And a good musician usually, of course, you have like a fixed version in your practice, because whenever you feel, let's say, unsafe in a moment, you need to, to stabilize yourself. You have to grab something to not fall, of course. So you always have maybe this kind of safe version. But whenever you feel free and you feel like good, and you have this trust how it should be, and you enjoy the music, you start to interact very differently, always. You feel free, and you don't have to grab anymore, and then you start to trying things, right? And this is actually what is interesting in having like live performance. And even if something happens nobody will count as long you touch the people, as long you excite them, and as long it's interesting what you do. So, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, recording is always a hard challenge. For me, especially because somehow I am this type of player that my first shot, how you say, is the best. Yeah. So when I have made a good practice and I make a very short general rehearsal with, let's say, a Weber concerto, I don't need to rehearse a lot. I go on stage, and my first shot usually is like the best one. But we have like opposite types of players, right? Somebody is different. Like the first one is not good, the second is better, the third one is the best one. For me, it was always like the way around the first. The problem in recording is not just that the orchestra, the last shot is the best. That's a problem. So when I recorded like this kind of crazy CD with Tomasi and Jolivet and Villa-Lobos, which is so difficult, so challenging for the orchestra, their first shot was nothing, disaster. And then you repeat 10 times, 12 times, and yourself you lose after a while, right? And then the last is the best in your orchestra. And then there's always a discussion which tape you want to take at the end, right? So it's really a hard challenge. A lot of Red Bull, a lot of coffee to survive.
And Swiss chocolate.
Like, when you're recording, do you use the same reed, or do you switch and change reeds throughout takes, or?
No. Usually, I mean, it can happen for sure that you maybe make like the Jolivet recording on one reed in the first movement, and then you make like the second movement, maybe another reed, which is a little more comfortable for this you need in the movement. This can be. But to switch inside a movement, for example, is really, really dangerous because the microphone is so sensitive that at least me, I will realize, checking the final recording, will realize that, oh, it sounds different here than here. And at the end, I will not be happy with that. Either you have a place which is so difficult because it's so high or so soft, then of course in the recordings you find like solutions maybe you cannot take in a concert. Yeah. But in general, there's also no time. No, there's also no time because it's so tight, the schedule in the recording always, that whenever you take a read and then you have to adapt to the read and something, it not works. No, mainly this is just like a perfect read for this piece or for this movement, and then you stay with it normally. Yeah. I mean, Tomasi, for example, is a little bit an exception. I mean, I played Tomasi a few times also live with an orchestra, which is really challenging. I mean, this is like you have to pray before on stage, you go on stage because of these few high notes. This is really, you can never guarantee these notes. You can try to have like out of 10 times, maybe 8 okay, and 2 you mess up always, but you can never guarantee 100% or get close to 100%. And then you are really sweating like crazy in a concert. But of course, in the recording situation, of course, you can help, like maybe especially in Tomasi for this E and F stuff, which has to come so fast. And then you might help with a special vocal to make a special tape, tape for this passage, and you can help. But this is just because it's a recording and you have to play the note. And the concert, whenever I listen somebody playing like a Tomasi concerto, for me, it not means much if I play the E good or the E not comes. Me as a being in the audience, I don't care so much about it. Also my students, like in Bitch Concertino, it's everything just about the high E. Everything is just high E. And then the worst students, they play the high E. Everything around is shit. The high E is there. And this is just mentality. I mean, everything should be beautiful, and then this one note not makes nothing. I mean, there's no circus we are in, right?
I'm thinking nobody play the high E then.
But I mean, the high E will not excite me in the audience because first of all, 99% of the audience, they don't know that it's difficult. So they're even not going to say bravo because of that note, because they don't know, right? But before you can touch the people, you can do so many good things. And this one note, I mean, it's, yeah, we have to put it where it should be put. I mean, where it has to be, right, in the priority list. It's nice when it comes. Of course, I should practice it for sure. But when you have this mentality that it comes or not comes, it also helps in the moment, right? To just stay calm and
What is bringing you joy at the moment? It could be in music or in life. I know you shared in Switzerland you have this special Niklaus today. So
I think, yeah, it's joy. I mean, joy in life means that for me, I'm always, how to say in English, I'm always, how you say, on the search, maybe on the search. You're always
yep, on a mission.
You're always on the way to find some deeper truth, right? So this is what makes me in life always to have the feeling that I have understood a little more how everything belongs together. It has not so much to do with music now, but actually music is part of it because we spoke in an interview about it. I mean, music has a legitimation of something very high spiritual, right? And music makes people is healing people. I mean, music is something, one of the most important things, and we even don't realize it. Yeah. Um, um, but I think, yeah, I mean, to always, but for me, it's not so much like in the music. For me, it's more like, getting more knowledge about healthy, about food, about also the system on the world. I mean, the system right now in the pandemic, we can see very clearly. I mean, there are so many different opinions out there. We don't have to talk about that. But I'm somebody who always want to look behind and want to ask, but why this is happening and why they're changing. I mean, it's complicated, but I'm not at all somebody who just believes what they say, because in my opinion, they are not on my side. They are not on my side. So there are so many indications. If you look to the financial system, if you look to the tax system, if you look to the healthy system, if you look wherever wherever you look, if you look what kind of food they recommend you, what kind of, it, for me, this gives me a lot to be always to try to understand more the truth in general behind. And yeah, this is more what gives me like my energy to go with the most possible knowledge away from this world the day I have to go, but I am kind of rich of things I found. Yeah. It's hard to explain in English. It's not my language. I'm sorry.
Thank you for doing that, though. I can feel the joy and the purpose. And then, Matthias, just to finish out, I was going to ask you about your bassoon and the story of why you chose this instrument, of your specific bassoon that you play on, and yeah, any fun quirks about it, anything that comes to mind. We'd love to hear about your bassoon.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I have my bassoon. This is my 14,000th serial number bassoon. I'm playing since. I mean, I got it when I was 20. So I'm playing it now for 21 years. And before I played Yamaha, a really nice 812 Yamaha, which was also a nice instrument, but it was just time to switch. And I'm playing several instruments, so I also like to switch in between. I mean, because just I realized myself when I started to play Fox, and I played a lot of concerts with Fox, and I have my Fox bassoon, and I love my Fox bassoon, and it's just sometimes I'm switching around. So it happens that for some concert I use this because it's a little better in chamber music, and then for some concerts I need more in the higher register, so I use another. But But what I found myself is that it keeps me very flexible, and it keeps me very much. I have to adapt always. Maybe I'm not 100% confident always with what I do and what comes out, but at least it challenged me a little bit. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, maybe a funny story when I tried first time my 14,000 bassoon. I mean, I was like 19, let's say 19 years old or something. I mean, I could play. I was not like very young, but the difference between the Yamaha and the Heckel was really quite big. So when I tried the Heckel, I found it really something was broken or something didn't work at all. So I gave it actually back, and I told him no, it not works because I was just not able to in that moment, right, to just manage it. I gave it to my teacher in that time, to Dag Jensen, and he tried it and he said it's fantastic, just buy it. And then I bought it, but the first 2 weeks for me was really like I mean broken, like a broken instrument. It was really quite. It was surprising that it was such a big change. But I think this was more like because I was not flexible enough. I mean, today I change so many my instruments, and I somehow I can feel comfortable quite fast. This was maybe just because I was missing on my side some flexibility. Yeah. Yeah, but then I have my 16,000, which is just wonderful. I love them. The new series is just amazing. The orchestra is so soft. It's so flexible, so sweet. I have my 660 Fox, which is just so easy to play. How it takes my air, how it responds for chamber music, just amazing. I have a 601, which is a little more like powerful, and which is a little more like an offensive instrument, but also really nice. I can recommend this, that even students sometimes, of course you don't have two bassoons, but maybe you have a good colleague who plays another bassoon. So why not, if you trust them, of course, why not switch around the instrument? Let's say at least 2 months maybe for a project. To just you play his bassoon, he plays your bassoon. You make also still these class concerts and university, and just make a little bit a game out of it. It could help a lot to maybe not have the best concert in the moment you play. Yes, maybe not, but the time you spend to adapt, right, and to find solutions, it could help a lot to get this flexibility. Yeah.
Matthias, thank you so much for sharing more about your life and your knowledge with us. So thank you so much.